Hey there, this is Sean, and today is Friday, December 21st, 2018. It is the Friday before Christmas, and I'm heading into the weekend with a big, fat, full loss limit day. Negative 54 ticks on the day. Um, Man, you know what? Back in like 2016 when I was trading again, I look back on my trade journal and I was like, geez, what a negative bastard I was. And so I want to try to keep things light. The only thing I'm trying to do here is to improve my process and what I'm doing, and I'm trying to also figure out sometimes if people get in a habit of getting in their own way. I think as people we like to get in our own way a lot, and trading is one of those things that you can't fake it. You are forced to confront your largest demons, your biggest fears, your biggest shortcomings, and you have to be honest with yourself. And if you're not honest with yourself, I mean, let's say you don't have to be honest with yourself, but if you're not honest with yourself, there's absolutely zero chance that you can be successful, I think. How can you if you refuse to look at what's really going on? And today is one of those days. Am I delusional? Am I deluding myself? I don't know. I started exploring trading with multiple lots for the last couple of days, and it seemed like I was going in the right direction, and this is exactly what happens, what can happen. And it was nothing bad as to where I let like a monster trade get away from me. But for example, you can see my big three losses here were both on double, or on two lots. So, and then my wins were on one lot. So I talked about that before, as that is a real concern, that if you average down on your losing trades, then you're going to have larger losses. They're going to outsize your wins. And even the wins, the wins are larger than the losses, but because the size is double on the losses, it just crushes it. I only had two wins, but if these were on two lots, if it could have been, double this. Instead of 40, it would have been 80. So, that's what's going on. So, doesn't seem like a very good strategy today, for sure. And just some bad decisions that I made today on trades that I put on. Looking back and going back over the trades, it almost seems to me like I made the exact opposite calls of what the chart and what the read should have been. And I seem to have an uncanny ability to exactly mark the reversals of very large moves. And I know people have said that, well, if you just trade the opposite of me, then you'd win every time. But I also asked myself today, is it possible maybe this is just, everything is just completely random? And I could also accept that, except for the way that I'm trading is so bad, it's so much worse than random, that I don't accept that I'm just trading randomly. It's like random plus fear. So not cutting losers and taking off small winners. Well, that's not a recipe for long-term success. So I'm reaching out for help today. I get very little feedback. I'm not asking for, this was never about trying to get a social media presence on YouTube or get a lot of views. It was about accountability. But I've been so disappointed again with my interaction on futures.io, and I'll maybe take responsibility and say that maybe the content that I'm posting is not engaging, but there's no point in me doing a follow-on or a trading journal if I get no dialogue. If I get no interaction, then it's just an exercise in narcissism of me putting this on the internet so people will look at what I'm doing, and that's not why I'm doing this. So So let's get to the charts and see kind of what things look like in the morning. Early on, we had come down below and set over the overnight lows down to 45.13. So it was somewhat choppy in the overnight session, but holding down below these previous lows. So I felt like it was a decent possibility that we would explore these highs here, but had a good chance of testing this low during the pit session, which never happened. So to have these game plans too, and these preconceived concepts and ideas of what we did in the overnight session, and if it's going to be a day, a balance, an in-range day or a trend day. And I don't know, maybe that stuff applies to the thicker markets like the S&P and the ES and the YM and stuff, but crude just seems to do these crazy whipsaws, almost in exact contradiction of those types of ideas. So I say that I'm more of a price action trader, and that is based just on what I see, previous value, previous untested highs, untested lows, and zones. Simply as far as, did we respect this area? Are we holding this area? And it's not just necessarily just support and resistance, but it's also becomes, if we didn't hold an area, that's just as important. Because if we didn't hold something that I had expected it to, then that's also giving information. So I definitely want to get into some trades specifically today, because, like I said earlier, some of the trades that I have taken are so uncanny. It's just uncanny that I have taken the wrong side of them. And exactly the opposite side of what would have been the right side to trade. And is that based on my read, or is that based on something psychological here, or is it a fundamental understanding of the information that I do not understand? I don't know. In hindsight, I say, well, that's pretty obvious, but hindsight is 20/20 always. But 6:45, let's take the first trade that I had. So 6:45 is about right here. 6:45, and that was a short for a 20-tick win. So that was right off of this rejection of this previous high here. So at this point, we tested above this, and there was not much strength to the upside. So with that in mind, I took this short here down. My expectation was to get down into this area, possibly to test the low. What happened is I did take it down into here and took it off plus 20. And good thing that I did, because it came back up to test that high again. So, and I wasn't able to, I was always looking for a spot. When is a good time to add to that trade? And, when am I right? When am I past a trouble area, which makes sense to scale into it? And I'm not real sure about that yet. I still need a little more. And the fact that I'm not sure about that doesn't bode well for my setups and my trade plan, because I need to be a little more certain on that. 719, I tried a short again. $719, that's kind of after this spike up again. $719, I took that. Luckily, I think I felt pretty decent about. Well, you can see the result was $719 right here. I got short, took it off for a 5-tick loss, only to go down and test back into this where I would expect that to return to is this kind of this demand zone right here. So 38. So the read was great. The management was not very good. And I took a loss on that, unfortunately, rather than a very nice winner, which it could have been. I'm not sure exactly why that was managed that way. But you can see here, this is, I'm guessing about right here is where I took this. So it's somewhere in between this. So we have this nice absorption, this volume coming in here. 719 is about right here. So I'm playing for a failure of this. Back down. So I was very quick to get my risk off. Because just in case these highs did hold, we could easily see that go back up. However, it's hard for me to see at this time. I was only in the trade 56 seconds, so I think I managed that much too tightly. Because, as you can see, it would have been a very nice win. 719, I entered basically here, and I think I just got kind of popped out on this next little spike up. So 719 was here, so I was a little early on the trade. So early before we came all the way down, almost 60 ticks, 50 ticks. So not a great trade for trade management, but you know, the line is very fine. The line is fine between winning and losing. So it looks good. I mean, obviously within minutes I had, and this is exactly where I would expect this trade to come back into, and this will play nicely into my next trade. Coming right back to this demand zone, because where this pushed from, and you can see that's exactly what happened here. So this is where I would expect it to pull back from, to pull back to for this short at 719. So from that, taking a 5-tick loss when I was right on this read here, rather than, let's say, a 40, 30, 20, 20, 30, 40 tick winner. Now this is the one that I'm most frustrated with. 727, not this one, 727. I flip-flopped and tried to get long there. Had a 16 tick positive, but I didn't feel my read was great on that. And I felt actually pretty fortunate to just get out. I did add on to that, and when we came back up here, I was able to get my risk off. So I was fairly happy with the trade management on that one. Now the next one is the one that I really want to talk about the most at 757, because it deals with coming back to this demand zone, this previous demand zone of where I would expect. Obviously, there's some big buying going on there. So I want to go back to the footprint. And this is where this comes in. So what I did, I spotted this on the footprint, and this is exactly where this comes back in. So for some reason, I think I kind of got lost in this footprint, not only getting lost in it, but getting lost in what I had already previously was fairly obvious to me, that this was a pretty significant demand zone. So what I did is at 757, I took this short. So not only did I go against my previous read of coming back into this, I think I took it after I saw all of this absorption happening. After this absorbed, I wanted to get a little better price, so I think I entered at about 48 or 50 here. So entering short here, not only is that a problem because I'm shorting right back into all of this volume that was just absorbed, but I was thinking, for some reason, I was thinking that, okay, I think I was just, price wasn't moving up. I had previously already been trying to get short, so I think I was stuck on the short train. But it just makes no sense. Shorting into a previous demand zone. And not only that, 757 on this move up, it's the exact move up that rips nearly, I think, 100 ticks higher on me. Coming back here, on the footprint, you see good absorption. And then we go from 45.30 to 46.30, 100 ticks, and I'm short right here. I mean, come on. And not only that, I pick my line in the sand basically above this bar high. So that's already a wide stop, but I average down somewhere right around here when I see a pause. Hoping that this little consolidation is going to hold and I will move down. Just bad. So is this a psychological issue? Am I intentionally doing this? Or am I just getting lost in the short term? But I mean, I can see, obviously I knew that my expectation was for this to hold, you know. I would normally read that as this is a demand zone right here. This is where this large push came from. So, just complete opposite read of what I should have been doing, and then I'm stuck here at 821.50. 821.50. And now I wait after price has gone up. $821.50. Nearly 100 ticks. Now I'm looking to get short again. 821.50. $821.50. So we come up and we do test into this. I'm a little early though. This was actually a decent read. I'm seeing all this kind of this previous value. And not only that, on the 15, we're coming back into this high side here. Unfortunately, I'm fairly early on it. And price continues to go up, and I average down on this one as well. So it's about a 10 tick loss average, but 21 overall before I get taken out of that. 834. So we can see 821. We see a lot. See this large, I'm starting to see, this is what I'm looking at too, is this large absorption. Price is not able to really go up much more. Buyers are seeming weak at this point, but not weak enough to keep me from getting ripped out of my stop. But I'm resilient. I don't give up on it. So at this point, 834. More absorption I see here. 834, and I'm short around right here to take this all the way back down here for a 20 tick, but it's on a single lot again. So I get a real nice 21 tick, but it's on a single. 834, I'm in that for 10 minutes. So I'm in about right here, 28 down to probably 08 or so. My goal was actually, my target was 02, and we came to 03, and then I ended up taking it off plus 20. So it was almost a 30 tick win. And that was based on a book map level, I believe, that I had spotted. And that was kind of coming back into, I'm not sure, right in here somewhere. Anyway, doesn't matter. But so this is an example of, even with very nice trades, if I'm not scaling into these positions, it makes it very difficult to win. And then 938 was the last, kind of the final straw of hitting my loss limit, trying to get long at 938. And we'll see right here what happened with that. 938. Now this was also a very big mistake. And hindsight, of course, is 20/20, but I'm going to show you exactly why this was a mistake. So my expectation now, this is what I was thinking at the time, but overlooking some very crucial information. 938. So I see price back up here again. And I see this consolidation area right here. So my thoughts are, okay, well, we can't move lower. So we're going to break the highs. And we see this nice consolidation. So after that, I take a position here. And on the footprint, this is also what it looked like again. On the exact opposite. It's almost exactly what I did before. Look at all of this huge volume here. Here too. This is big absorption near the top. So if you're a big seller before a big imbalance move down, this is who's going to be accumulating here. Big buyers aren't probably going to be accumulating near the top unless they're really trying to push things higher. But I mean, it is possible. But this is almost exactly the thing that I did so poorly before. And here is another big clue about why the buyers are not strong here. Before I entered this trade, price came up and already tested these highs. So hitting some stops here as well. If the buyers were strong here, price would have probably went, but it didn't. So after this high was already violated, that long should have been off the table for me. And almost the exact opposite, especially with seeing all of that absorption here. Look at that, huge 3,000 contracts in just 2 or 3 prices, and here as well, tons of price here, tons traded there. And so 938, I get short, or I get long. It should have been much better short, obviously. So this is what I'm talking about. Is this a mental thing? Is this just purely statistics that saying, okay, you can't win every trade? Or is this a fundamental? It seems to me that this is a fundamental misunderstanding of the auction here. Because within just several minutes of me getting long, the market has a huge imbalance move. Gets slammed out. So I am, at this point, all just like these buyers, expecting that breakout. And there's a big seller sitting on that, absorbing. And at this point, those longs are stuck. You're getting stopped out, or if they're not, they're still begging to get out. And that was me. And of course, at that point, the price just keeps going down. All the way down to 54. So, and that's kind of where you would expect price to get to, about right. About, at least I think my target, what made sense was to go kind of test these lows. But another example of where this eventually came to, this area where this big imbalance move came from. Anyway, so yeah, I'm a great Monday morning quarterback, but just, to have huge losses with the information contradicting exactly how I played it here on this trade, seeing that imbalance at the demand zone, and also here with this test of this high and not finding buyers, and that huge absorption here, signaling clearly on the footprint there. I have some serious issues going on here mentally. I mean, come on. Is that consolidating maybe to push higher for the move up, for the breakout? I think it's much more likely the case that I said. And it makes more sense from a large seller. A large seller needs liquidity to get filled. Buyers expecting a large breakout to the upside are going to take that liquidity. And if buyers were strong, price would have not stayed here. If buyers were strong, price wouldn't have stayed here. Price would have went. So, those are my thoughts. I don't know. Frustrating day. It sucks to go into the weekend and the holiday this way, but it is. That's how it goes. So, thank you for listening, if anybody is listening out there. And I would love any guidance or help from the serious big money gurus out there. Not people that just have conjecture to offer, but somebody that actually knows what's going on and that's doing it for real. None of you fakers. Thanks.